So let's dive right into it. This week, Gunna, Lil Duke, Slime Life Shawty, all released from Fulton County Jail.
Yep. So they've all taken pleas.
They've all taken pleas. And people are asking, so let's start with Gunna. What exactly is an alford plea?
So the idea that there's a substantial difference between an alford plea and a regular plea is kind of it's a term of art. An alford plea means that you can stand up in front of everybody else and say, I am still maintaining my innocence, but I believe that if this had gone to trial, there was a large enough chance that I would be convicted, that I will accept some responsibility and punishment. As a practical matter, there's very little difference between an alford plea and any other regular guilty plea. They're both guilty pleas. Mm-hmm. And so Gunna stood up in front of the judge and elocuted. And by elocuted, it meant he was required as a condition of the plea to recount his admissions of guilt to acts and charges that were part of the indictment.
And when you what you're referring to is the thing that was on video that everybody was passing around.
Man, that guy.
Whoever recorded that.
Oh no, well, it's a WSB 2 reporter, and the guy's wired into the courts and the police department in ways that basically no one other than maybe me sometimes. He's just got a lot of access.
Okay. And when you know what I'm saying, Gunna was basically saying yes to some questions that were asked by the judge.
Yeah.
And those questions were about previous charges, him and Thug being pulled over in the car
that
had drugs. Now, if I remember, that was an old charge, right?
It's years and years.
Doesn't have anything to do with the current. I mean, it has something to do with the current RICO, but it's not like
it was part of the RICO. It was part of the RICO, and it was meant to, but mostly, it was part of the RICO in order to pull Gunna in.
Basically, right? It was one of the weaker charges that you talked about early on, right?
And I did, and I think you and I may have actually discussed it the last time I was on here.
Last time we were here, that he would be the one that it probably has the weakest charges that should go free.
Yeah.
It seemed like they pulled him in to bring stress.
Yeah, you might say that. He's a guy with a lot of money and a lot of attention. And had they not done that, I suspect that they would have been concerned that his wealth may have played a much more direct role in how everything else was going.
So in hip hop, there have been plenty of, well, not plenty, but the one thing sticks out in my mind: the Murder Inc. trial, the early 2000s, right? Where Irv was basically washed. I mean, they took a lot of his money, like millions of his money, into his defense because it was a federal case, if I remember it right. Because they were after Supreme, but they knew that Supreme and Irv were friends, and Irv would more than likely help pay for Supreme's defense. And at the end of the day, I think Supreme had to go with a court appointed attorney.
I think that might be part of it. I think, let me start with this. The case is extraordinarily complicated.
Right.
And right now there are at least 3 defendants who are undefended right now with 3 weeks to go before the trial.
And that's weird.
It's extraordinary. It's unusual. And I've brought this up with the district attorney's office in that I'm waiting for something called an ineffective counsel defense at some point. If the people who have no defenders right now are convicted, they can walk into an appeals court with an appeal basically ready made for them, saying, "Look, I didn't have the full benefit of counsel through this process." My sense of it is that the district attorney's office is expecting everybody who doesn't have counsel right now to eventually plead out. But I don't know how you start a trial where you have, defendants who don't have lawyers. I'm assuming they're gonna have lawyers, but it would have taken months to spin up on this case, and it's just it's fascinating and weird.
News and Talk 1380 WAOK, Voice in the Streets Unfiltered. We are talking to George Chidi, a renowned journalist, about the YSL and Gunna case, Thug case. So Gunna's released. People are calling him a snitch. Is he a snitch? Yes or no?
So I'm going to read something that Gunna's attorney, Steve Sadow, sent to me in Facebook Messenger. He and I have known each other for almost 20 years. Because I asked to talk to him about it. Quote, "The only way we will speak is if you are willing to state for a fact that you know Gunna is not snitching and is not cooperating and is not giving information to the authorities. Somebody needs to tell the truth, unquote.
And would you? This is just me from the outside looking in. Do you think that the Fulton County Police Department or whatever, the DA's office, whatever, knows how him getting an offered plea would look to people that aren't informed? Do you think they wanted this outcome?
Maybe a little. I think they're so let me just say, like, the district attorney's office is about convicting Young Thug. And
by any means.
By whatever legal means I think they can. Like I've spoken to the district attorney's office about this, and their philosophy around this, as they described it to me, was if you subtract someone from this case, does a crime still happen?
Right, and that's like one of my major questions with evidence being thrown out.
They're saying if Young Thug isn't involved with this, these other crimes don't take place. So they're hot for him.
Right.
And I think they're cutting some really amazing deals, frankly, for other defendants in order to ensure that they can get Young Thug.
Well, hold up. We're gonna go to break. We definitely want to hear what your thoughts are of that text message that you got when we come back, and more on the YSL case. Call us up 404-892-2703. We are talking YSL, Thug, Gunna, the guys. Gunna's free, some more people free. We want to hear from you. What do you think? Tap in on the Odyssey app, VIS Unfiltered Radio, ATL, on all social media. We'll be right back